Are you persecuted and hated for following Jesus? Because Jesus tells us that anyone who chooses to follow him will be persecuted and hated by this world. And I want to read you this passage. It's out of John chapter 15. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. Yet because you are not of the world, I chose you out of the world. Therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. These are the words Jesus warns us about. If we truly choose to follow Jesus, we will be hated and persecuted in the same way that Jesus was. Now, we have to ask ourselves this question: who persecuted Jesus? Now, there's a lot of people who persecuted Jesus, and also the apostles and those who in the early church were following Jesus. But the main group of people who persecuted Jesus was the religious order. It was the Pharisees, the Jews. It was the people of that day that were the people of God. The people of God always tend throughout history to be the people who hate Jesus the most. They're the ones that put Jesus on the cross and killed him. They're the ones who each of the disciples, when they chose to speak about Jesus, were killed, beheaded, all these terrible things. It wasn't just mainly by Rome or by, the state or the country, but it was by the religious order. Now, we as Christians a lot of times think, we live in this free country, the U.S., and, we don't suffer persecution here because we have freedom of religion. And let me tell you this, Satan doesn't go, oh no, the United States, they have freedom of religion, I can't persecute Christians there. He laughs because he knows that he can persecute anywhere. The whole world is under the power of Satan because Jesus has allowed him to be the prince of the power of the air, the sea, and the land. And he is the prince here, and he can persecute people, and he also can influence other people to persecute. So as Christians, we're not exempt from persecution by living in the United States. But we have to ask ourselves, who is doing the persecution? Who persecuted Jesus? It was the religious order. It was the Jews. It was the people of God. Who persecutes Christians today? Is it mainly the United States government? No. Is it mainly, just those textbooks in school that are so bad, or the abortion clinics? Is it those really that are persecuting Christians? No. If you choose to start seeking after Jesus with your entire life, who will persecute you more than Christians? Who will persecute you more than the church of God? Who will persecute you more than the people of God? And this is a funny thing, that the people of God persecute Jesus the most. They quench the Spirit the most. But the reason why is because they don't believe that they're in sin, and they have the hardest time humbling themselves. The Pharisees had the hardest time humbling themselves to Jesus because they believed they themselves were the access to God. If you become a Pharisee and really study the law and the Bible, then you'll come to God. It's just not true. It's a lie from Satan. If you want to come to Jesus, you will be persecuted. If you want to come to Jesus, you have to humble yourself before him and run to him. And when you do, other Christians, the whole world will hate you. And Jesus gives this as a warning and a promise to us. The world will hate us, and the people that will persecute primarily will be the church and other Christians and supposed, people of God. And the reason why is because they persecuted Jesus and hated Jesus first. So let me encourage you in this. If you start preaching the truth about Jesus, you will be looking to persecution, people saying bad names about you, hating you, even maybe as you walk down the street, spitting at you. They will utterly hate you because you are a light now for Jesus. So let me encourage you, seek Jesus even in persecution. If you're not being persecuted yet, for seeking after Jesus, you might need to consider, am I really a Christian? You might need to consider, what am I doing that's wrong? Because Jesus does say, anyone who chooses to follow him will suffer persecution.